roll call. Oh, there it is. There it is.
If I don't have a list as far as who is supposed to be present or absent. So well, I guess not absent, but like a class list.
Yes. So the list would be us, and then Yuting, because he is co-chair of the institutional ranking committee, and then Elaine. So for this one, you can just write down that list and just look at who's on. Yeah, online for today.
And then Yuting is also ex officio at this point, so he would be here anyway, right?
He would. Absolutely.
Okay.
But he does not have voting privilege.
Right.
I don't know
well,
if
but he does as a senator. This gets a little bit sticky.
He
is
would,
that
but
one
not
of the
on
standing
executive
committees?
council.
Yeah. So he would in full Senate, but not an executive committee. So
Okay.
Well, I'll do a quick roll call then. Myself, Michael Hyland here, Bethany Rader
here,
present, Sherry Watson
Here.
Amber Pond
Here.
Carol Walker.
Carol and I will just be guests.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm learning everyone's roles, so to speak.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yuting is not present, and it looks like Elaine is joining now.
Awesome. We'll give her a minute to get on.
Sorry about that.
Hi,
oh,
Elaine.
no worries. No worries. We're just doing roll call.
Yep. And Elaine Jerkowski is present.
Here.
Okay.
All right. So I want to move on to approval of the minutes. And so there are a couple of options for this, which sounds a little weird, but because there are two issues here. One is that if you look at the operating paper for the FSEC, it says that it is composed of the officers and any ex officio members, and then the chairs and or co-chairs of these standing committees. So if you interpret that literally, that means us, because we don't have chairs and co-chairs of the other committees. So we could act at this body as we are now, could act to motion and approve minutes. So we could interpret that way. The other issue we have is that the minutes from the last EC meeting have people who are no longer on EC. So one of the things we can also think about is reaching out to them to make sure that they approve of what, their portion of those minutes, bring that to EC, probably next EC meeting, and then which would be in July, where we might have a fuller complement as well, and then vote then. Are there any opinions on this matter?
Do you want a motion to get approval from the previous members?
Well, I think we need to discuss it first.
Yeah. So does anybody have an opinion? Go ahead, Elaine.
So I think since those meeting minutes reflect previous members, we should have their input. I'm always uncomfortable in approving minutes for a meeting that I didn't attend, and I don't really think that's ethical either. So I think it would be wise for us to reach out back to those previous people.
That's been standard practice in the past.
Okay.
All right, then Chair, if you want to make your motion.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we shall vote. So all in favor of reaching out to former members for approval of minutes before this body approves. Okay. Michael, are you in favor? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so it looks like 5.
No abstentions and no. I always say rejections because that is in my field.
And that was to
oppose.
Reach out to approve.
Reach out to approve to former FEC members. So then we'll table approval of these minutes by this body until the July meeting. Thank you, guys. Excuse me. All right, so the next thing on the agenda is my comments, and I don't have a lot because I've only been president for about a week. A few things I did want to mention. One is that, as I mentioned in my email earlier today, I have reached out to Matt Bauman to discuss the formation of a ad hoc committee on reviewing the consensual relationship policy at SIU. So as soon as I have a chance to talk with him, he's, the message has been given. I'm just waiting for a call back. I will report what the result of that conversation is. And then the other item which I wanted to mention was the possibility of having a reception or sort of a meet and greet for the new provost, between the provost and the faculty senate, the full faculty senate. So this is something that I discussed with Sherry, and we felt like it would be a fun way for us to meet and learn a little bit more about the new provost, and for her to sort of meet us and do the same. So there's a lot of information we need to gather, especially since I'm sort of new to doing these sorts of events for groups, but I just wanted that to be on everybody's radar so that we can get more
So would we do that in
information.
July? Are you thinking we'd do that in July?
So that's a good question, because so many, at least on my side of campus, are off contract, but are also out on their field seasons doing research, right? So I think July is a possibility, but I sort of favor at the beginning of the semester, like right away at the beginning of the semester, in August, when everybody's come back. We have all the new faculty that are joining in the fall, and
So maybe the week prior to the classes starting, because we have that week, right, where we're on contract, but we're not in class. I know sometimes schedules can be chaotic for some with training that, but it might be better to do it that week, because anytime, at least when we do stuff or we try to do stuff that first week of class, people go, well, it's so chaotic, and then the can gets kicked down the road and we're in October, November.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. And of course, all this is going to be dependent on her schedule as well.
Absolutely. When does she start officially?
Starts in July, I think.
Okay.
And we don't know, like what we have in terms of budget, but it may be something that we can collaborate with either the chancellor or the provost's office on money-wise.
All right. So we'll gather some more information over the summer, and hopefully we can make that happen, because I think that would be wonderful.
It'd be a good idea.
Let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention, well, actually, I'll wait for the election committee report. So I think that's all I have to say to you right now. I'm also getting involved in all of the groups that I need to be involved in. So I'm just sort of slipping into this role. Please let me know if there's anything I can do better or more efficiently, or if I can help you out in any way. I don't want to insert myself into other people's processes and other people, in committee processes and committee business. So, but I'm happy to help out in any way that I can. So just keep that in
I
mind.
suspect this year is going to go as smoothly as it has gone in many, many years.
I hope so. I'm still nervous and sort of stressed out about how all this is gonna.
Well, we're here to help if we can do anything.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
All right, so let us move on to reports. I guess I just gave my report, so we can move on to election committee.
Okay, so there are some faculty senate positions that still will need to be refilled. And so I need to take a look at how we're going to do that. We've got I'm not sure whether I should wait till the fall to do that or try to do something. Just at this point, if people haven't volunteered, I'm sure they're not gonna want to because they're overwhelmed with the end of the semester. So, but we do also have a prospective election in the law school. So Lorelei Ritchie has stepped down to move to a different role. And their unit approved somebody to be in that place. So we can have her continue out the remainder of Lorelei's term, which is another 2 years. I think Lorelei was new last year.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, so Jenny Brobst had finished her term and Lorelei replaced her. So can we approve her and move to approve her? Like that would have to go to committee and committees once the committee's formed anyway, and then, get faculty senate approval. So, I mean, we can let her proxy next week and then work on the process to get her formally approved. But I guess I just want to double check to make sure that there was an actual election in the law school for her position. Because you can't really just appoint people.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so the process so this would fall under special election. And so, and again, we can interpret it one of two ways. One is since nominations and elections have closed for the general election, that would, and if we're following sort of in that direction, that would mean that we'd have to do a special election, and that could be now, but as you mentioned, that would be difficult based on people coming off contract and just being really busy. Plus, you'd have to form a new elections committee.
Well, we have new people who they're ready to be appointed.
Okay.
So when we put out the call, that was one of the things that we thought about. So we do have people who will be available, but I just am worried about trying to rush it through right now. So we can let her serve as proxy, like for the next meeting and the July meeting, and then do a special election come fall for that position.
I personally think that is the best.
Okay, that's fine.
Best course of action. Yeah,
that's fine. So I'll
who is her proxy? Who was that?
Aldi.
It'll be Artie Burns.
Artie Burns?
Yeah, ARTIEBERNS. And for a special election, we don't have enough time because I think nominations have to be for a week and then elections have to be for a week. So we don't have a 2-week span until faculty go off contract. So we would have to do a special election in the fall. And then Elaine, I told Bethany earlier, I had a faculty member from CECTM reach out to me this morning and asked me if nominations were still open. I emailed him back and told him no, they were closed, but I asked him why was he inquiring? Was he going to self-nominate or have somebody to nominate? And he said he was going to self-nominate. So we actually do have a candidate there too. So we can add that to the law school, and then hopefully we'll work together and do something with special elections.
Okay.
Can you remind me who we need in what
the election extension?
Oh yeah. Can you give?
So that closes tomorrow. And there are 5 nominees in the election extension, and all 5 will be voted into Senate. So do you want those seats?
No, can you tell us how many seats will then remain open after that after the
just
extension?
one for CTM.
That's spectacular.
CTM stands for
College of Engineering,
Computing, technology, and mathematics.
Technology. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So that makes my life a lot easier. Good.
It's great. I'm so excited that we'll be starting the year with an almost entirely full complement, and in Senate, I feel like it's been a
Good.
few years, so that's great. All right, anything else or any other questions for elections for Elaine? All right, so then we have the ad hoc committee on institutional ranking. Do you have anything to report, Elaine?
We haven't done anything since we met. So we heard about that in our last meeting. So
Yeah.
I think we had the ambition of trying to get together, at least in subcommittees. But I'm not sure that, honestly, everyone's so overwhelmed that I don't
Yes.
know whether that's going to happen this week, maybe next week. Like I'll put feelers out, but I have nothing more to report.
That is completely understandable. All right. So then we're on to old business. Anybody have any old business? I think here I'll just reiterate that we're waiting to hear from Matt
Did we skip
Bauman.
committee on committees?
Oh,
Yeah,
we did. I'm
my
so
question.
sorry, guys. Oh my gosh.
That was my next
Committee.
question. I do have something for what's under new business. So,
Okay, so let's circle
let's go
back.
back to committee and committees.
So
Your
sorry,
first
guys.
mistake, Bethany.
Oh no. See, I
She's
didn't
getting off on
solve.
the wrong foot with you ladies.
Your true colors.
I know, just the worst. Someone else needs to do this job. Okay. We're in a bright red now. Can you see the bright red?
Okay, so our committees came together really easily, and I consulted with Josh and Amber on this. Pretty much everybody got their first choice. We had to, give maybe 2 people their second choice, and we've got those 5 people that we have tentative assignments for. We're going to wait and see what their forms say. But I mean, really, the committees have come together really nicely. And I was interested in the Lorelei Ritchie issue because she was on committees, and that was it. And that explains why we hadn't received a form from her, of course. So that'll be pretty easy to deal with. And so, I mean, I can share the screen if you like, but I haven't shared this with the rest of the committee on committees. So I actually need to do that after this meeting. I'll be sending this to the entire committee on committees for their input as well. So.
And then they'll have to vote before
Yeah.
just faculty said it, right?
Yes. I mean, we'll vote as the committee on committees, and then we'll present it to faculty senate, and the broader senate will vote to approve them.
Right.
But I mean, we're good to go. I mean, we're still waiting on those 5 people,
Right.
and I guess I'll take Lorelei Ritchie out of it. And otherwise, I think that was the only other thing. So. Yeah,
Okay.
we're good.
So we'll have a vote in Senate on committee assignments, and then once the extension and special election at the beginning of the semester, we'll vote again. We could probably vote again on for those 5 members in July.
I mean, if we
will they be
have
assigned?
do we have to, I mean, if we have their forms with their preferences before the next Senate, do we have to delay that vote on them? Because if they've weighed in on what their their preferences are, I would feel pretty confident about that. Yeah,
that's true. If the committee on committees has voted for with them as part of the mix, then we would not have to do a second.
Okay. I think we'll be okay, because I think hopefully we'll be able to pull those pieces together for you. I'll keep you posted.
Elaine, did you have a
Did you
comment?
say tomorrow's the last day for the election?
Right.
So then we'll know tomorrow.
It'll close tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, so then.
So once
might-
it closes, we can have that sent out to them, their notification with the form. And I'll even follow up with them if necessary.
Well, too, we discussed about sending them a form or just assigning them to the committees, and we kind of just went ahead and assigned them to the committees.
Yeah, I have tentative assignments and many of them are continuing. And I thought, I honestly would like that to give them an opportunity to turn in a form, because if somebody has a really strong feeling about particularly something like UEPC or budget or something like that, like I'd kind of like to, I'd like to know, like Khalid Mexam, I'm sure he's going to want to continue on governance, and Professor Wong, but and I think maybe Gary Apgar will be okay with serving on budget, you know, but I want to.
I could ask for them to send me their form back like by Monday at noon, and then if you wanted to share that with your COC before
That would be great.
Tuesday, then we could try to just get this all done.
Yeah, that
next
would
week.
be great.
So, yeah, okay.
Because we have pretty even spread of people across the committee, so it won't, you know, it won't.
Change much, hopefully.
Yeah, I'd really like one of those people on UEPC. I'm really hoping one of them really wants to be on UEPC, but.
Who do you have on UAPC now?
So right now on UEPC, we have Jeff Punske. Is it Louis or Louis Premkumar? Samadhi Yasser, Robert Broomfeld, and Ying Chen. And then we have a tentative assignment pending, you know, what this person is interested in. We've added one more person, Dr. Boo. But that's, again, I don't want to assign somebody to UEPC unless they want to, because, you know, their contribution is really important and, you know, we want them to want to be there.
So Jennifer Walker, she was on UAPC, I believe. Where did she end up?
So she's on the committee on committees. And
she did not want on UEPC. So I'll say that she sent me, that was her fourth choice and she did not want on. So.
Yeah, I was careful about looking like, so Walter Ray, his second choice was budget committee. And I know that he served on a salary study before. So Walter isn't getting his first choice. But otherwise, I was really, you know, like I was really careful about trying to give people their first choice if possible. But anyway.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. So I think
they're all new people on that committee. They haven't served on that committee before.
Jeff Punske. Chen is continuing. I think Jeff Punske has served on it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So and these people all wanted to be on it. So I'm like,
that's good. That's great. If they wanted to be on it, perfect.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a lot of work and I appreciate it. So
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
I think that's it.
Okay. Any other questions
Thank you.
for COC? All right. Thank you guys for doing
So
these as well.
I guess I do have one question. So we have the university committees, we have staff those. And so I'll send that over to the two of you so that you can present it to Faculty Senate. Our committee on committees approved it
Okay.
before the end of their
Disbanded.
terms. So the thing is that I didn't realize, Asanki and I didn't realize how the meetings were going to go. So there wasn't really ample time for us to, you know, insert that and get them approved, but I'll send it over to you.
Okay.
You both, and then you can present it. I guess Josh will send it to you too, because
I have the information and I can send it. And I know normally with that at-large committees, I think come July, the chancellor's office will reach out to me and say there's a couple of working committees under the chancellor that need volunteers like right away, you know, so that's I think why we kind of did the call out early, because there are some committees over the summer.
Real quick, Elaine, you mentioned that, again, correct me if I'm wrong, they're still looking for new members to serve are you talking on faculty senate in general as senators, or like, are we
We
lacking in?
need to find somebody from the CTM college
Oh, okay.
to serve. But I think but I understood from Bethany's report that that's the only outstanding
Oh,
seat,
no.
Freezing.
really. And then we need to affirm Lorelei Ritchie's replacement,
Okay.
R.D. Burns. But we'll let her serve in that capacity as a proxy until we go through the process from the operating paper.
Okay.
I have a question about that to all of you. So Lorelei, she had said she took like a, Bethany, what was it? Like
Was
a
it like a visiting
visiting
professor?
professor.
position?
Does that mean that she comes back, or is that she gone after? Like, is she just like, I kind of thought, well, that title visiting, does that mean that she's coming
You know
back?
what? That's a good question. I don't know.
Because then if that's the case, she could just have that proxy for.
She could just have proxy person do
Because
that.
I did notice she was awarded tenure from here just in April. She was on that
Oh,
list.
yeah.
So that's why I kind of
So-
thought maybe she was doing like a visiting thing and then would come back. So, and I can
So-
reach out for more
yeah.
clarification with her.
Yes, why don't we reach out just to see, so visiting professorships can be temporary, can be for a year, semester, but they can also be more long-term.
Okay.
And who knows what the circumstances are for her making this choice, so I definitely worth reaching out and
Okay.
just.
Okay.
saying-
So if she's only gone for a year, then Artie could serve as her proxy for that year.
Correct,
And she can return back into her seat, correct?
correct. From her email, it made it sound, my impression was that she was not going to be returning, but but clarification would be perfect.
Where is she doing, just out of curiosity, where's she doing her visiting professorship?
Let me find that.
Florida.
Florida, yeah. University of Florida, Levin College of Law.
Oh, wow.
She says she's stepping away during the coming school year, so my interpretation may be incorrect. So but yes, if that's the case, then she can have the proxy for the year and then step back into her term.
Well, and that would be nice because then we could delay an election, for that seat if we have somebody in it.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I will say though, the law school has been one of those that has always responded to elections, so. And that is wonderful. As I hang my head in shame at my own college, which was left with 3 openings at the beginning of this election season, so. All right, any other questions for committee on committees? All right, so I think we sort of started old business. Any other old business outside of the committee for revision of the consensual relationship policy, which we're going to try and get together as fast as we can. But again, with all that we've been stating about everyone being really, really busy and going off contract, it will take the amount of time that it takes. All right, if there's no more old business, is there any new business?
So one of the things I wondered about is we have people who staff committees, who are representing faculty senate. And I always wonder, like, whatever happens, like, what's their representation? And is there something that happens within the committees people are involved in that we should get back as feedback somehow? So,
Can you give an example?
well, sure. Like, we have public safety. Let's say public safety committee. So, what happens in that committee and what sorts of policies may actually come out of it that might be important? So like when COVID was around, that was a part of what they were doing, was coming up with policies for students and faculty around COVID for testing and, you know, and being able to ensure that we were safe on campus. So I think that some of that would be helpful for us to have come back to us. So that's one example. So look at the list of committees to give you, but it just does, I mean, as for me, someone serving in the past, I always wondered, like, doesn't anybody care what happens? So it's sort of maybe my own issue, but it's something that I think maybe we should think about is, you know, if people would like to provide some kind of report, you know, they can, and we can just file it in the archives so that we have something if people go back and look, you know, so what do these committees actually do? Oh, here's another example, like intercollegiate athletics. You know, I was trying to get that staffed, and when we were looking at recruiting people, we had people actually call us and say, you know, what do they do and what kind of decisions do they make? And, you know, fortunately, Julianne Wallace sent out a copy of the operating paper for that committee, and so that was fine. But it just, I think it's worth a discussion amongst our senators about whether we should have some kind of way people can convey information back to faculty senate, whether that be like just a repository of reports for various committees or something. You know, we may not necessarily have time at meetings to do that, but we do annual reports from all of our committees. So, you know, why not give people the option of sending some kind of summary from meetings? And that way we might also know if people are representing us, because I've also had the concern raised from people who are operating committees that we have faculty senate representatives identified and they never attend.
Josh, did you have a?
Yeah, for Civil Service Council, every month we invite, like, we have a list of constituency committees on the agenda, and Tony invites those civil service members to participate or to send a report. So they're always like on our email chain that goes out for the invite for the meeting and stuff like that. And it's actually listed on the agenda. So I would say that's probably up to EC if they want to put that on the agenda or not, you know, to have reports or things like that. So, but I know, like, the Intercollegiate Athletics Advisory Committee, I think they meet every month because Victor reports to civil service every month on that committee.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other committees that do meet every month on
Yeah.
a regular basis. So
We could build in our report section of our agendas a header that is reports from university-wide committees by FS members. So it instead of listing every single one, because I think what we don't want to do is gum up the meetings more than they're already sort of gummed up for the 2 hours, but we can give that slot, we can open that slot and open it up to anybody that wants to make a report from their particular committee. We could make a mention instead of doing that, we could mention during new business. Does anybody have any reports from their committees they would like to give? Or we could do something just like require written reports from those members to be posted on the thing. Yeah, Sherry.
I think we would need to be careful one of the things that I ran into when I was chair of committee and committees before, you know, it might be a deterrent if we say you're required to report to faculty senate. I don't have a problem with it. I think it's an interesting question, and I'm curious myself. I had a lot of people say, what's the commitment going to be for, if I did this, what would the commitment be? And sometimes I had to track down committee members and just say, can you give me, you know, information? Like, I couldn't always get something like an operating paper, but I could find people who served on that committee or chaired the committee and say, I need to give this person some feedback, and they would give me some real talk about it. and say, well, it's not a large commitment. We meet this many times and yada, yada. But I was wondering about maybe a survey, maybe we send a quick survey and say, give us some feedback, would you like to give us some feedback on committees that you served on? But I don't know if we told people, we want you to commit your time to this, and also we want you to have to come before faculty senate and report or write up a report. Some people wouldn't have a problem with that. Other people might go, oh, no, thanks.
No, I'm not saying that
we
it should
just
be
make-
mandatory. I'm saying that there should be more of an opportunity for people to provide a feedback loop back to the faculty senate.
Well, we wouldn't make it obvious that the nature of the report does not have to be any kind of definitive description of everything that went on. What we're really more interested in are the highlights or what the blasted committee does. Just give us 2 or 3 sentences.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we kind of have that in our description that we send out, but I think
just email it to us and we'll put it on paper and file it,
Yeah, what was your experience? What kind of issues did you deal with this year? Because it might be very different. If you're on the, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the IT committee, the one, I've had people say, there's a difference between being in a meeting and being meat in the room, as in MEAT, right? And like they felt like they were just there to fill a seat, and they didn't have much of a role and things. And we might want to know that. We might want to know how you feel about your, whether you were heard on that committee.
What if we, when we send out the draft agenda or the meeting agenda for FS, we emphasize in that email, if you have information from the committees you're working on that you feel should be brought to the attention of faculty senate, please let us know and we will put that on our agenda. And then perhaps at the end of the semester or the end of the year, then send out a survey that to collect more, because I think there's 2 different things, right? There's information that is important, that might be important for faculty to know, that comes out of those meetings that we would want these senators to report. And then there's the information of what was your experience on this committee, which I feel like is sort of a sort of end of the year survey kind of question. Does that make sense?
I like the idea of learning about people's experiences. And I wish that service was more valued on campus. And so maybe that would highlight, your service is valued.
Yeah. We appreciate that you're on these committees, and, please let us know if it was a good experience for you or a bad experience for you, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Do you think it's worth putting sort of a permanent open space in the agenda for people to report, or to just emphasize in an email or, that goes out with the agenda, this is, if you have information you want to bring to us, then let us know.
So the email would only go to the Senate members. So that wouldn't necessarily hit the at-large committees.
Yeah.
But what I could do is whenever I send out like that information, I could just get like another list of the at-large committee members that are faculty, faculty at-large committee members. And I could just email them like, hey, the monthly meeting for faculty senate's coming up. If you have anything to report, please send me a written report, or you can show up and I could send them the invite information or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And maybe maybe at the end of each year, just ask them to provide if there's anything they want to share, and ask about their experience on the committee. I like that. I hadn't thought about that.
I like that too.
Agreed. I like that.
Because sometimes, we become just token, and there may be something we can do about that.
I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. And, we are also a line on someone's CV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it could be an unworking line on the CV, which, that's not really very fair either.
Truth.
Okay.
All right, I like that quite a bit. And I do like the giving them the ability to come to Senate with items if they so feel
Yeah.
like it. I think that's great. Any other new business? All right. I have nothing else. Thank you for stumbling through this meeting with me for the first time, and I'm sure next Tuesday it's going to be, I'm going to turn just as red, but we'll get through it. Let's see. I have nothing else for you, so if you guys have nothing else, then I guess I need a motion to adjourn.
And next week's meeting will be by Zoom too.
Yes, sorry, I meant to mention that. Next week and the July FSCC and FS meeting will be by Zoom. We will recommence, and probably in July, I will really want to talk with you guys about this as well. We will definitely recommence hybrid in the fall, and I put your thinking caps on for incentives to get people into the room. As I favor in-person meetings. So food, I know, cookies and coffee is what I got, but we'll see what the budget says.
I wish we could meet someplace really interesting, like
That's a good idea.
like if the campus would cooperate with us and not charge us to meet in someplace interesting, like the lake house or the, the stadium or something, like someplace that's accessible and interesting,
Make it an experience.
Yeah.
Agreed. But I don't know how we will look into it, but I don't, from Josh and I looking into this last summer, yeah, I'm not sure that's going to work.
It was hard to go hybrid.
Yeah,
really
that's
hard.
the other issue is you need the technology in the room. And so,
No matter
it would
what,
have
we
to be a
have-
place that has the technology.
Because no matter what, we're going to have people in Springfield that will be in the meetings electronically, so we cannot avoid.
Hey,
but
the library is wonderful and we don't charge.
love it. We will be talking with the library for sure. All right. So yeah, Amber, did you have something you want to say?
Mm-mm.
You look like you had the.
I was going to wave.
Oh. All right, I need a motion. I need a
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, seconded, all in favor, raise hand. Okay, thank you guys again.